Hi readers, Chris here. It has been a while since I've done one of these type of videos, but today I'm going to be doing a book haul because yes, even though I've been unhauling a bunch of books, I've also been buying a bunch of books. So I'm going to show you all the new books that I've gotten so far this year, 2022, and hopefully you can help me make some decisions on which of these books I should actually read, soon. First up, I have 3 books that I picked up at my local Walmart. One was I think they were all on sale, and the first is going to be The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is a YA fantasy series. I've never read anything by Holly Black, haven't read this series. I know it's super popular, so I was very excited to find this one at a discount price. Next up, I have The Lost Book of the White. This is the second book in the Eldest Curses series. It's a collaboration between Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. So this book is like it's part of Cassandra Clare's whole Shadowhunter world, but it's like an offshoot. I believe it's about Magnus Bane and Alec Lightwood, which, in case you didn't know this from a previous video, I think that Magnus Bane is probably one of my favorite characters in all of YA fantasy. He's amazing. I love him. I love him and Alec's relationship together. So I already have book 1. Haven't read it yet. This is book 2. Definitely want to try and read these books this year. I think I'm going to put them on my TBR and try to get them read sooner rather than later. And then last up, this was a really random find, I feel like, for Walmart. I have never seen a Christopher Moore book in a Walmart before. So the fact that they had this one, Shakespeare for Squirrels, was super, super random. You can see it was a bit discounted, but I love Christopher Moore. I think his books are absolutely hilarious. And if you remember, one of his books I read not that long ago, it was called Fool, and it was kind of a retelling of King Lear. And the main character in that story was a court jester named Pocket. And this book apparently continues Pocket's adventures and is a retelling of A Midsummer Night's Dream, which is one of my favorite Shakespeare plays, and if it's anything like how Fool was, it's going to be absolutely ridiculous, and I can't wait to read it. Next up, I took a visit to one of my local independent bookstores. They do both new books and used secondhand books, and of course, I usually only buy the used secondhand books in this store. And I got quite a lot. So first up, we have A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I've never read anything about this author, but I've heard of this book. It's supposed to be like a dark academia type story. I feel like I really need to read more of dark academia, so I picked this one up. I think there's a sequel that already came out, so apparently I'm behind. I need to catch up. So definitely want to get to this one. I'll say maybe later in the year might be a good place for it. We'll see. Next up, I found a Stephen King book that I actually did not own. Surprise, surprise. But that's because Gwendy's Button Box is a collaboration that he did with Richard Sismar. I'm not sure how you pronounce that one, but I had actually never even heard of this series until about a month ago when I was looking up videos for new book releases, and I saw that book number 4 in the Gwendy's Button Box series was coming out, and I was like, oh my gosh, I never even heard about it. So found book 1, which is really exciting. I don't know when this was published, so I don't know where it will fall in my Stephen King journey, but obviously I'm only on the 80s right now, so it's going to be a while before I get to this one, but that's okay because that means it gives me more time to find the rest of the books in this series. Next up, I have a book that I was super excited to find, and that's going to be The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I have never read any of Jemson's books, but I know that the 5th season, as well as many of her others, are super, super, super popular. So when I saw this one on the shelf, I had to get it. I am super excited to start this series. I'm hoping that I can get to this one sooner rather than later. I've heard really good things about it. In fact, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say anything bad about it. So that makes me really hopeful for this series, and I'm hoping that I can get to it soon. Next up is kind of a random purchase, and that is going to be Anthem by Noah Hawley. Now, this book actually just came out in like January, I want to say. So I'm assuming someone didn't like it if they bought it and sold it off to the bookstore that quickly. But if you're not familiar with Noah Hawley, he's probably most known for his work on television shows. So if you've ever heard of the Fargo TV show, Legend, he's written a lot of TV shows, but he's also done a handful of books. And Anthem is his newest book, and it's supposed to be, this isn't a fairy tale, it's supposed to be a modern, like, post-pandemic fairy tale about like a young group of kids traveling across America. Something is happening to teenagers across America, spreading through memes only they can parse. Noah Hawley's new novel is an adventure that finds unquenchable light in dark corners, unforgettably vivid characters, and a plot and fast and bright as pop cinema blend, and a Von Goghian tale that is as timeless as a grim fairy tale. It is a leap into the idiosyncratic pulse of the American heart, written with the bravado, literary power, and feverish foresight that have made Hawley one of our most essential writers. It sounds super weird, so it's either going to be one of those books that's like super deep and like has a lot of hidden meaning, or it's going to be something that's totally absurd that goes right over my head. I really want to find out. So again, I'm hoping I can get to this book sooner rather than later, and we'll see what happens. Next up, I found 2 books that I have been dying to get for a while now, and that's going to be Chain of Gold and Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. Yes, again, more Shadowhunter books. Again, I don't think I had my YouTube channel in early 2020, but in early 2020, I had read The Dark Artifices, which was like the 3rd series Cassandra Clare had ever did. So this is her 4th one. This is book 1. This is book 2. The 3rd book is not out yet, but I have heard that it might be coming out in November of this year. So that gives me plenty of time to catch up on this series. Obviously, these are chunky books, but they are YA fantasy, so they're a little bit faster, easier to read. The text is bigger than like a normal chunky fantasy book. So again, definitely plan on getting to these sooner rather than later. I'm kind of trying to decide if I want to read one of these first or that other series I was talking about. So if anyone has read and has a recommendation on which I should read first, please let me know in the comment section below. Finally, my last 2 bargain books that I'm also super excited about. One is going to be Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. Silvia Moreno Garcia. Yep, said that right. I know when this book came out last year, it was super, super popular, or was it 2020? I don't remember. It came out recently, not that long ago. It was super popular. I've heard really good things about it. So when I saw this one on the shelf, had to grab it. Sounds super, super, super cool. And then the other book I found that I've heard some interesting things about is going to be Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James. Now, I've actually been doing a little bit of research on this book because I didn't understand, the sequel just came out, and I didn't understand why I hadn't heard more people talking about it, but I kind of went down a rabbit hole of looking at the reviews about this one, And this book is very, very divisive, very divisive. You have people who either love it or hate it, and there's not a lot in the middle. Not a lot in the middle. So one side, the other side, not a lot in the middle. I've heard it has a lot of trigger warning type stuff in here. It is all based on like real African culture and myth and lore. So I'm going to give it a try. Whenever I hear that things are divisive, honestly, it makes me want to read them more because I want to be able to have my own opinion. I want to be able to have a say in this conversation. And yeah, I'm just interested to read different things that people don't like. Not sure what that says about me, but that's okay. I'm going to give this one a try. Probably not anytime soon, but it will be going on my never-ending TBR list. Next up, I wanted to show off 2 books that I actually won in a giveaway recently. So David over at David's Book Reviews did a giveaway, and I was so excited that I actually won because I've never won anything before. So what he sent me are 2 different books that I am super excited about. One is called Eclectic Nightmares, and this is a book of spoken word poetry by Jeremy Fee. If you do not recognize this name, Jeremy Fee is a fellow booktuber, and I will link his channel down below. Definitely recommend going and checking it out. First off, he has 2 cats in his studio, which, I mean, come on, I love animals. But he does a lot of horror reviews, but he reads absolutely everything. Horror, fantasy, so much stuff, and he is so talented. I can't wait to see what he has written in here. And then the other book that I won from David is an independent fantasy book called Talendor's Guest. And Talendor's Guest was written by Charles McGarry, but you might know him better as Chaz. Chaz Bookish Reviews. Again, another booktuber who I will also link his channel down below. Obviously, he reads a ton of fantasy. I really like his reviews, even if his opinions differ from mine occasionally. But I'm really interested to read this one because, you know, I'm such a big fantasy lover myself. So, Chaz, Jeremy, if you're watching, I can't wait to read the books that you wrote. That is so cool. Finally, that brings me to the end of my haul, my last 2 books, which are 2 books that I actually paid full price for. I guess I should say 3 books that I paid full price for. 3 books that I paid full price for. The first is going to be Prince of Thorns by Mark Lawrence. I bought this book on Amazon because David at David's Book Reviews and I are actually going to be buddy reading this book sometime soon. I can't remember if we had decided March or April. David, if you're watching, you'll have to remind me, or hopefully by the time you watch this video, we'll have figured that out. But it's supposed to be a dark fantasy, a grim dark fantasy. One of my goals was to read more of those. So I really don't know anything about it other than it's supposed to be grim dark fantasy. So that sounds really cool. The other book that I paid full price for recently is going to be The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. If you have not heard of this book before, you've been missing out because I've been hearing about this book for the past at least 2 years. I think it came out about 2 years ago. So many people have read this book. So many people have reviewed this book. Every single person that I've ever seen talk about this book, and there's been a lot, absolutely loves it. Absolutely loves it. It's like part fantasy, part, YA, part romance. It's supposed to be a little bit of everything, a really heartwarming story. It sounds amazing, and I hope that it is as good as everyone says that it is. So, in case you can't tell, I think I've probably hauled more books than I've unhauled recently, but that's okay. At least I definitely have room on my shelf for them now because of the other unhauls that I've done recently. So what do you think, Meeps? Did Mama get enough books, or does she need more? Does she need more books, or do I need more ferrets? Meepers says, I think we need more ferrets. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not already, please subscribe to my channel where Meepers, Jack, Snowball, and I will be doing more book reviews, more bookish hauls, and more bookish videos coming soon. Thanks for watching. Happy reading!